most people that are in his situation don't end up having a great life. They don't get any recognition, and kind of the way this country treats mental illness is pretty bad still. And at least he kind of had, he has this legacy, and I think it's inspiring to people that are mentally ill that maybe want to, like, they could try doing art and using it as like an outlet to help them. And music therapy is becoming more and more a thing. I think music is really a really an amazing healing thing for the mind. Um,
I mean, it
so
is. It's like there's like I don't even know how to describe it. Just like as a musician, there's just something that it does to you. It's almost like it's like a meditative healing kind of thing. Like you pick
yes,
something up and like after a point of just playing, whether you're by yourself or you're like just jamming, or if you're just doing, or if you're just learning or doing your thing,
hmm,
like after a while you get into this zone, and it's just like this meditative like state where you don't really you're not totally aware of what's going on around you, and you don't really care because you're
hmm,
just focused on what you're doing, and it's not even like if you're doing anything elaborate. It's just whatever it is that you're playing. There's something about the sound and the rhythm, and your body just you start moving in total harmony with whatever's going on, and
hmm,
like it just does this thing, and I can't describe it and I can't explain it, but like if you're having like a crappy day or whatever, it takes it away
yeah,
like instantaneously, and like it gives you the spirit to move on, and it kind of fills you up with hope, and it makes you just kind of like look at yourself and then say, man, I'm doing this.
yeah,
Like you almost have an out of body experience in a way. It's
hmm,
very it's just one of those things where if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about because you've done it. But
hmm,
if you don't, if you haven't, then you should probably start playing something,
yeah.
because it's
I think
something
even
that I recommend to every single human being on this earth, and
I,
animals too.
I think even listening to music, like, creates something of a
Yes.
peace and a harmony within the mind. And you know uh, I think a lot of people don't realize it. Kind of, people, music is we're so oversaturated with media in general and music, and people that listen to popular music may not, like, kind of feel the same way. I mean, obviously they have some enjoyment of it, and music makes them happy, but I think when you're a musician and you listen to the music, it does something different to you. Like, you could feel the effects of it in your head. It's not like just listening to something on the radio while you're driving to work. It's more than that. It's kind of like you get this calmness and this peace in your mind.
Right. I mean, some like that's what I do a lot of the time. Like
Hmm,
if I need to go for a walk, or if I'm going for a run, or if I'm going to the gym or something like that, it's like
hmm,
I throw on music. Or if I can't sleep sometimes, I'll just throw
yeah.
on music, and it'll just put me in a state where like I can, or even if I'm just not feeling too great,
I know
then
if I
like,
want to get something done, if I want to get something done, I put on music, and it, like, gets
oh
me
yeah,
motivated to do something.
oh
If I have to
yeah,
do work or something.
like just whatever it is that you got, like if like the second you put on music, there's just something that it does to you.
Hmm,
And there's always something appropriate for whatever it is that is going on at the time, and you'll find it too.
yeah,
Like it's almost like you're drawn to like the genre that is appropriate for that point in time.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I listen to like a bunch of different things. Like I
Yeah,
don't
same
just
here.
I don't just listen to metal. I've said this on the podcast before. I don't just listen to metal. I don't just listen to rap. I listen to blues. I listen to jazz sometimes. I listen
Hmm,
to I listen to funk. I listen to old school kind of Motown sometimes, or I'll just listen to straight up classical music. Like I'll
yeah.
always find something that I'm looking for, that like fits whatever the moment is, and I don't know. I don't know how or like why, but you just kind of do. Like sometimes you just think that
Yeah.
you want to listen to something, and then you're like, oh wait, no, I think I want, and then you hear something else, and you're like, no, I want that. It just kind of happens.
I think the best thing that happened to me musically is when I got to a point where I stopped caring what people thought about what I listened to, because I was always very much into like I was very closed-minded when I was in high school when it came to music, and early in college I was like, if it's not metal it's not good, I was like, everything else, everybody's posers, like music is just.
Oh, I had
and
that
then
attitude too, for
and then
sure.
I really started to like realize, I'm like, you know what, I'm wasting all this time and energy like hating on other genres of music. But like, why do I care so much? I'm just gonna listen to whatever I want, and I really don't care what anybody thinks of what I listen to. I don't. And you know
Yeah,
what, that's like the best thing ever, because now I just listen to whatever I want to listen to.
yeah. I mean,
And
it happened to me in college too. Like
mhm,
it was when I was again dorming in SUNY Oswego. I like
yeah,
that guy Mike Beechers that I mentioned before. Him and like just a
yeah,
bunch of people. My old roommate Marcus, um, and just a bunch of people just like turned me on to like whatever it was that they were listening to, and like in like just in like a dorming college environment where like you just go and you just kind of like fend for yourself and go to and hang out, and you kind of like
yeah,
you meet your own friends and you see what they're into, and like
mhm,
it's a lot more open because you don't really know what you're gonna get with like in a college, and then everybody's
yeah,
just kind of doing their thing. You go to like an open mic down there, and other people are playing their own like weird things, and you start appreciating other forms of music. And
yeah,
they just kept showing me like more stuff and opening more doors, and I was like, oh crap, I like this. And it was like, wait, is this a guilty pleasure or do I actually like it? And it was like, no, I legitimately like this.
yeah,
And it was like, where can I get something else like this? So then I started listening to rap. I started listening to more classical music. I started listening to Motown heavily.
hmm,
And I think it shaped me a lot more as a musician now, because
yeah,
like back then I could only like I was always thinking about, oh, I have to write a fast song. I was like, always thinking about like writing a metal song, and I was like, I have to write fast. I have to write
yeah,
something heavy. No, this isn't heavy enough. No, this isn't loud enough. No, the tone isn't crunchy enough. And then
hmm,
like over time, I started to notice that not only like were my speeds changing, like they started to slow down a little bit, but the phrasing
hmm,
started to change.
yeah,
I started to I stopped thinking about how many notes I could do in a minute,
hmm,
and I started thinking about how I was playing them.
yeah,
And I have to say, I think I'm so much better as a musician now just
yeah.
because of that alone.
Yeah. I think a lot of the problem is that high school is so clicky. Like, even if you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be in a clique, you're forced into a clique. Like, if you try to be your own person in high school, you get beaten down and you're forced into the clique that you fit most into, by your peers. And I think that's why people get closed minded in high school, because they only like what their friends like. And then you get to college, and like literally the whole clique thing goes away like
Mm-hmm.
immediately. Like, you walk into college and people that you were like sworn enemies with in high school are now like, I don't really care anymore, let's be friends. Like,
Yeah.
it's high school really forces you into a mold, and then college kind of lets you break out of it a little bit, because no one cares anymore. We're all adults here. Why are we even like bothering? You know.
Right. No,
So I
I
think
mean,
that
let's
that
not even
helps.
just like say just college, but like let's say
Adult life in
like
general.
yes, just
Yeah.
adult life will break down
Yeah.
that barrier, and like at some point, like you're not going to give a shit about what kind of music you listen to or how other people perceive you.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
you
The
really
old.
shouldn't anyway. It's
Uh,
just like it's a stupid thing, but people do it.
yeah. Especially the older I get. The older I get, the less I care about what
Oh
other
yeah.
people think. Like, it's just like I don't have the energy anymore to care what other people think. I'm just
Well,
gonna
it's
do
like
my own
what it
thing.
was it like George Carlin who like said it. You're in the not give a shit phase of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. I have too much other stuff on my mind to care what people think about like what I like and what I listen to, and what what video games I play, and what I do for for fun. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I also noticed that like as my musical interests changed, and like not only was it the music that I was playing that changed,
Hmm.
but like the lyrics that I was writing, like this like the flow started to change a lot too.
Yeah.
Like I noticed that I had noticed that it went from like intentionally trying to like have a song be about this, that, or the other thing, went from just like writing whatever came to mind first and then like going into it. But I also had noticed that like it wasn't like, okay, like it wasn't like I was thinking, okay, this needs to fit the riff. It was just like I started just writing lyrics, and then like afterwards, like I would just play something, and then eventually I would say, oh, this might fit that. This might fit the
Yeah.
thing that I already wrote down. Or like the flow ended up changing from like, oh, it has to be like da 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 to like to just something completely different. It went from like being attack 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 to like just like ebb and flow and like have some waves in there.
A
And
nuance.
yes, and I also would
Yeah.
start to notice that like lyrically it started to rhyme in a certain style that was like ended up being closer to rap. Like
Yeah.
like this song Killer Croc that we did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Killer Croc based on the Batman villain. Like if you take away the metal backtrack and you like just put like a funky drummer and like just like some like low bassy thing, Killer Croc is like an 80s rap song.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
uncontested. It's a rap song dressed up as a metal song.
And Norman Bates, I think, too, had almost like not necessarily a rap, but almost like it wasn't like a metal sounding lyrics. It was almost like it's hard to explain. It wasn't like a metal song. It was, I mean, obviously, like we were playing it in a metal style, but
It
like
was
the
like
way
a
the
show
lyrics flowed.
tune. It was like a show
Yes.
tune.
Yeah, almost something like that.
Well, I mean, there
Or
were
or
even nuances in like
or
in.
funk, almost like a funk song, almost like it was like kind
I
of
mean, I
like
guess
this
it
weird.
touched on it a little bit. Like there were parts even in like the chord progression where like certain things had to have a stamp to it because it was at a certain part in there, almost like to set up a punchline
Yeah.
for the lyrics. So it was very
Yeah.
much like it was almost more like a theatrical like musical type of thing and not necessarily like a metal song. It
Yeah,
just
and
had like
it
these
had this groove
weird.
to it.
Yeah.
It had this groove to it that kind of like was almost like dancey to almost like to a point. Like you could almost like dance to it, not just like like mosh. Like it was like it had this like kind of groove to it.
Yeah. It it was just really interesting. If you guys want to check out any of our music, feel free to head over to Bandcamp. I think we're still on there. It's
Yes, we
or
are.
I mean we're on Spotify and other things too. It was the band is called Nuclear Hatred. That wasn't our first name by choice. That was just what happened because of
Because of damn lawyers.
damn lawyers. Not Steve and Larry, who are great by the way.
Yes.
Other lawyers who are evil and degenerative. Steve and Larry, of course, they are very good people and happen to be lawyers. But they're not
It's
evil. We're not confusing Steve and Larry. I got to do this every time now. That's the last time that I let my mother listen to a show. She's gonna yell at me about
it
this for sure.
for anyone who cares. It's
Nuclear Hatred,
nuclearhatred.bandcamp.com.
yes, and you can check out our cool albums and stuff. Nuclearhatred.bandcamp.com. So if you
Mm-hmm.
think it's cool, like let us know there too. And if you think we should get back together, well, no.